It's a moonstone kind of day, which if you didn't see the title of this video, all of these stones that I'm working with today are custom moonstone rings. So really excited. I also got a new, it's called a solderite board from Rio Grande. Um, yeah, we'll see how this goes. For the professional jeweler's choice. How about that? So I got a bunch of silver in that I've been waiting for, and look at this. Look, have you ever? I mean, I can, you know, see myself in it. I can give myself a tan with it. Silver, 28 gauge, sterling silver. I'm gonna cry a little bit when I have to cut into this, but the thing is that I'm using it, and that's what's most exciting. So I have some really fun rings planned out. Some from a few YouTube subscribers, some from Instagram, which is really exciting. Um, for those of you who haven't um, checked out my Instagram, I try to update that daily. So I went ahead and I was finishing up a project. It's still sort of in the works. Good morning, good morning. Um, so I have that in the pickle right now. And now I'm going to be working on making sure that I am on myself live chat instead of top chat. So I have cut out already, and let me just go ahead and lower my camera. Sorry to give anyone any kind of anything. But I already cut out some of the bezels. So basically, the first thing that I do is I measure the bezel around the shape of the stone, and you want a really, really tight fit because you don't want it to go anywhere, right? So after I cut it, I cut it with my flush cutters, not flush cutters. Um, and I'm going to solder because basically you want to make sure you have a tight seam and not a whopper sided seam. When you cut with the flush cutters, however straight, it does create kind of like a, I guess is the best way I can describe it. So I just have to solder that, or I just have to file it down rather to make sure that my ends meet up nice. And when I'm using something like a gallery wire, I kind of want to make sure that I give myself kind of like a seamless, especially since there's a pattern, an ongoing pattern. Um, so I try to give myself like that seamless look. So if you were to look at it, that's the case. So this is what I'm trying to achieve. You want a tight pinch, um, and you want to kind of not see the point that I cut it off of. I think. All right, so there's one, and I have one, two, three, four custom orders that I'm working on today. Can you believe it? I mean, good gravy. I am so humbled um, that you know um, people would be willing to get a custom order from me. So very humbled indeed. So thank you so much. So when I do have a custom order, there's a few questions that I ask, of course, and I do have some different, like I have a gallery wire that the stone can be set in. I have like a scalloped wire, all the bezel wires, or like a flat wire. And I do offer, some kind of custom so that they can, get what they want. As far as size goes, the bands, I do have just a couple of options for the bands. So if you So, anyways, I am just going over the nitty gritty at this point, which is just the filing and kind of going live. Kind of lets whomever purchased from me know the status of their order, I guess. So that's another reason why I like to go live, that and to get advice. But yeah. So, anyways, like I mentioned, I am just taking. You want clean lines. And yeah, and I'm gonna try this solderite board. I've never tried it before, but I think I've kind of grown past the whole kiln brick kind of situation. Um, Looking, you know, for something a little bit of yeah, a little bit nice heat distribution better rather. So, and let me know if you can hear me okay. I do have my little Bluetooth thing in there in my ear, not in there. I know sometimes when I'm out here, it could be hard to hear me. But, anyways, so just taking this, lining them up, 3 down, one more to go. And this one's an exciting one. Someone had requested from me a double stone ring. So very much a statement ring. One of them happened to be the last heart-shaped Larimar cabochon that I have. Sounds a little hollow and distant. Well, put that on my tombstone. Ah, ah. Oh, golly. Well, I'll speak up because the mic might be coming from my phone. So this one's really exciting, like I mentioned. She wants a more modern feel, which I had to Google what a modern style ring was. Oftentimes on Etsy, where I start a lot of my online listings, they give you options as far as what categories the jewelry falls in. And there's nothing wrong with googling up what mid-century jewelry is, what Art Nouveau, Art Deco jewelry is. That way, you can make sure your jewelry's in the right category. So I did have to look up what more modern jewelry was, and it's a lot of straight lines, clean edges, things along those lines. So that is very exciting to give my twist on it, and also following the modern kind of look to it as well. So after I file down the bezel, what I'm doing is creating tension in the metal so that the seams will, in essence, kind of like magnetize to each other, which is, but creating the tension so that they'll hold the seam, so that when I'm soldering, I don't just knock them over and it just kind of explodes everywhere. The seam explodes. So wanting a tight fit, and you kind of just go um, back and forth with it. Sometimes you go side to side, but basically you're hardening the metal and you know creating tension. And when at this point, you can definitely tell if you have like a burr or a raised edge because they're not wanting to sit right on each other. So, and you just go back. And so a lot of making jewelry is the nitpicky and making sure you have things the way it ought to be. Not a lot of fire at really. Um, so yeah, there's that. And it's a 360 kind of thing. You have to take into consideration that whomever is going to be purchasing this is going to wear it and they're going to look at it. Um, when I'm sitting there doing nothing, first thing I look at is my hands because I can't really look at my face except when I'm in the mirror. There's my TED Talk. All right. So again, just creating tension. Did she draw out what kind of design she wanted? No. No. I love when people come to me with their designs drawn out. That way I can just, without a doubt, make sure I don't goof it up. However, one person did come to me and have a certain design that they wanted. Um, but other than that, no. So this is where I get to put my artistry, artisan flair to it. So I'm going to be cutting up 5 pieces of hard solder so that I can solder the bezels together. where did that go? It shot out. Yep. 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Little dabble baby. 5. Okay. So coming over here to my board, I'm gonna move my stones aside. I want to make sure that I don't get this up. Oh, there it is. Okay. So got my hard solder. I'm gonna work one at a time, soldering these together. And I have my flux. I'm gonna stand them on their edges so that when the solder does flow, I'm gonna knock it over, and so that I can get the back side, which would be the front side. So I'd have the seam, the solder come all the way through the seam. Last minute nitpicking, putting this stuff together. There we go. So I've got my flux here, and the flux tells the solder where to go. And just a little dab will do ya. I do have some spray that I use oftentimes as well. This also prevents fire scale, which is the thing that you put in the pickle to clean off. The pickle is just an acid solution that cleans off the fire scale from the middle. Cleans it nice and shiny. So then I'm going to take my pliers, and I'm going to, actually, before I do that, I'm going to grab my little torch here and turn it down. And I like to crystallize my flux before I stick my solder on, because I don't want them jumping like popcorn. So there we go. So then I'm going to take the 5 pieces. I love the fact that yes, I try. Definitely do. This, isn't a full-time thing. This is definitely, I'm very much an amateur. I enjoy making the pieces. I'm not a jewelry wearer per se, but if a piece really speaks to me, then I want to wear it. And I just kind of assume that if I have a certain taste, maybe someone else does too, and they don't want that kind of like, I don't want to say it's mainstream, but there are tons of stunning artists out there on Instagram, for one thing. Good golly. I saw a piece last night, took my breath away. The artistry that went into it is just absolutely breathtaking. So, dang it. There you go. So, again, just putting the pieces of hard solder onto the bezels, basically. There it is. And then this micro torch, so I have 2 different torches. This micro torch I got into a pinch, in a pinch, because my first larger butane torch um, kind of went kapooky on me. So, anyways, I find that this is really awesome in cases like this, when small little areas that I need to get into, and I'm just heating up the whole thing. And so when doing this, when building, I guess is the best way I'd like to describe making a ring. You take hard solder, which takes the most heat to heat up, medium solder to apply the bezel to the back plate, and then easy solder to adhere the ring band to the back plate, going highest to lowest, basically. Hopefully that makes sense. At first, I was like, how do you know which solder to use? And I was so confused, and I really had to do some research about it. And I kind of just want to make that as apparent as possible. And once the solder flows on top, I knock it over. Hopefully you can see. And I look for that. And I just gotta bring this guy back up. Well, I'm going to have to do that later. Move that guy out of the way. And then I'll quench these and put them in the pickle. And so this is my quench pot, my pickle pot, quenching. But by the time I've done a lot of these, they're probably already cooled down enough. Nevertheless, that one did a little. Okay, and then I'm just gonna fix this guy right here. It fell over and it doesn't want to cooperate with me. And sometimes when that happens, you can take your flush cutters, not flush cutters, your flat pliers, and kind of smooth out an area, make it a little bit flatter. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put that solder that jumped off right on the solder seam here. Doesn't help. My husband's like, make sure you bring a banana out there or something. And I'm like, I get so excited out here that like, I just come out here and I don't bring what I need. I just get really excited. This is my Zen time, I guess. In a bit, I'll go get a banana. I had my coffee this morning, so all right. Got that solder to flow, and then I'm just going to knock it over, and I wait for the solder to peekaboo out the other side. You want to make sure that seam is 100%, and there we go. Boom shakalaka. And into the pickle. All right, so now it's the point in time where I go over the other stuff. So I have just a wee little bit of silver from this. This was a 3x3, and this is a 6x6. So I used quite a bit of this guy, which is like an accomplishment, but at the same time, it's like, holy smoke. And this is cool because it also shows what date I purchased it. So I purchased this on 11/3. So I'm not saying I'm skimpy with silver, but it's expensive. Dummy. So I have a few of people words, right? Okay. So one person wanted a crescent moon style, and she wants a name stamped onto the top. So I keep a lot of scrap silver up here from my cuttings and things along those lines. So I can try to make it. And I also have silver wire. I've got a lot of stuff up here to kind of just give me a little bit of an idea. Because I do tend to like to use round balls, and I also have a dapping block here, so that I can kind of give dimension to some of the accent points, because I always think, is this missing something? So what I'm going to do right now while those are in the pickle is I'm going to take some scrap silver and I'm going to make little bowls. Okay. Um, and it's real simple, real easy, real fun. Takes a lot of heat. That's copper, and done in no time. As you can see, I already have some kind of stuck together here a little bit, which helps when making random projects. Of course, I'll put them in the pickle first to clean them off. But it's nice to have a variety of shapes and sizes, of course, when working. And you kind of go, oh my gosh, it's a lot of scrap silver when working with stuff. So that's really fun. So I'm going to take my flush cutters, and it doesn't have to be precise. Let me just get my Gorilla Glue out of the way here. All right, so it doesn't have to be like 100% precise. You can just take some random pieces, because as I mentioned, I'm not going for that whole even. I want bigger or smaller spherical ball shapes, if you will. So Yeah, this is what I'm going for. And it's kind of like a process where you want to keep your pickle pot open and your quench pot or bowl, or in this case, my sour cream bowl, right next to you. That way, heat up, stick it in there to quench it off, slap it in the pickle. Okay, so it comes like, it turns into kind of like a, I don't know what you call it, process. So here we go. And basically, you're just putting heat onto the metal. And of course, you can take, this is my other kind of flux. You can flux them, prevents fire scale running out, right, that whole thing. It's a very technical way to do it. And they will ball up. They're so cute. This is probably one of my favorite things to do, aside from like setting a stone, like the completed part of it. And after they turn from a bright red more to a silver, then I will put them in the quench and then put them in the pickle. You know what it kind of reminds me of, and I mean, this could totally me being a nerd here. It kind of reminds me of Terminator, the second one, I think. Um, when ever that second guy gets shot. Um, I don't know. My husband would know better than I would, but it's kind of like with. I think it's so funny. Those are good movies, and I know they've done a remake. I haven't made the last one, or I haven't made the last one. I haven't seen the last one. Gosh, try to talk while I'm doing this, huh? I haven't seen the latest one that they made. However, I have seen the one with Daenerys Targaryen. I don't know her real name, Amelia something. Kudos for me for being so up in the culture. I'm really glad. Come on, little ball. Come on, little friend. Sometimes you can take your soldering pick and kind of zhuzh it a little bit. There it goes. And yep. So ball. Yeah, you can also do this with head pins. Make your own head pins. You don't have to buy them. You just take a piece of sterling silver wire and kind of heat it up. Holding the wire, heat it up from the bottom, and it kind of makes a pills up like a ball, similar to what I just did. Okay, so I think that's enough balls for me for right now. Okay, and so now I'm gonna see about my bezels in the pickle, copper tongs only, into the pickle. And here they are, nice and white. They went from very deep dark, black almost in color, and now they're very opaque. And then this was the project I was working on. For those of you who might have watched my last Soldering Chronicles, um, I have I had purchased a cuff from shopgoodwill.com and I count 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing one in there somewhere. Fish it out. I had received a cuff that was broken. It was missing the top, so I took advantage of it and decided to make something with it. So there we go. We got all 5. And the one that I was using might have to, the one I was doing first, may have to go back into the pickle. But it looks okay. Very nice. Kind of wanted to give the back like a crescent moon shape and a moon because it's going to be a moon face. Really cool in my opinion. All right, get that guy over there. And now working with this one right here. Okay, I've got my paper towel that I will use later. So I'm going to take my first one. This one happens to be the gallery wire, and I'm going to snug my stone in. The snugger, the better, because that's proper English. The more snug, the better. Unless it's too snug, in which case, yeah. I'm going to take my purple handles, kind of give it a little bit of a, since it's more of like, it's not like a marquee, but it's like elongated oval. Knock it in there. And then I'm going to take my metal, my silver. I swear, I lose everything. The gnomes just up and take my stuff all the time. Where did it go? There it is. Right in front of my face. This guy. Yep. And find a piece. Have my ruler. I'm going to give myself enough room here. And then I'm going to take my, I don't know, I got a set for mapping out stuff, and this just happens to have a fine tip so I can score my silver. I don't know what I'm using. It's just I know I do good using it. And I'm going to score it. Giving myself enough room to file down. And my dad always did a thing where what you're cutting out, you put an X on. So I kind of follow that suit as well. So there's that. There's the first one. Now number 2 is going to be this one. So of course you're kind of playing Tetris in a sense because you want to make sure that you're not wasting any silver, basically. At least that's how I mean, I'm not made of money, silver money. So, anyways, so this next one here, I give myself enough room. I come up to the bottom of it. And I kind of let the form speak to me a little bit. Like if I find that I have a little bit more play on the stone, then maybe I'll add some embellishments because a lot of people leave it up to my how I want to do it, which is nice. And at the same time, I'm the kind of person that whenever I go get my nails done or have to choose anything like eating a location, I'd rather someone else do it because I'm a terrible chooser. So there's that one. And then for this one right here, that's gonna go. And then for my 5th ring, I'm actually gonna have to whip out my new my new. Okay. So here it is. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Hey, Carly. So with this next one here, this is going to be more of a state. So I'm gonna add a little bit more silver around the outside. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit more room on here. 2 1/4, 2 1/4. All right, so now begins the sawing process. I have my jeweler saw here. This is a German jeweler saw. I have some cut lube because it just makes it 10 times easier to cut through stuff. I have broken many a blade, but now I'm going to take this opportunity to also kind of fill in the score marks with a permanent marker, and that way I can see it a little bit better. Because when I'm cutting, I'll tend to lose that line, and I do not want to do that. Okay. And of course, when I heat it up, the permanent marker is going to go away, so I have no problem. So this is my bench pin over here, which I need to have it. I need to have it figured out where I have it better on here. It needs to be like closer to me or like somewhere right here, so it could be lower for me. But right now here is where it is. So here we go. One. Big mama. I should have started it the other way, to be completely honest, because it's I needed more room. Say will be. Oops. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So still have a little bitty teensy little piece of the silver, and a little bit goes a long way. So put that back into the non-tarnishing bag. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom shakalaka. All right, so, oops, excuse me, coffee. All right, so I'm gonna take my bezel here, and I'm gonna round it and basically fit it to my stone. Except it's gallery wire and it's kind of pokey. I have to get a bit to poke it in there. Hot dog, hot diddy dog. And how's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? Snug as a bug in a rug. Hilarious. So while it's here, and before I solder the back plate, the bezel to the back plate, I have an emery board and I have a flat, and I just see if there's any excess solder and knock it down, because this is the time to be able to actually get in here and manipulate it, instead of like waiting until it's already soldered and trying to get like one of these little pins into here and try to do it that way. So it's easier to do it now than later. And I'm looking for my half round here, half round file, and that one's really good for getting on the inside. And there isn't a lot because I didn't use a lot of solder. And it's important, I found that if you fit the stone in before you solder it to the back plate, that you have a better chance of a smooth fit. That's what I'm doing. And then I have some 400 grit, and I